Hey guys, it's Gloria with Cheap Yummy Shiny, and today is a little bit different. I'm going to kind of explain what's been going on the last few weeks. For anyone who does follow my channel, there aren't a lot of you, I'm hoping to increase this, but for anyone who does come looking, I really haven't kept up with my schedule at all the last few weeks, and it's a combination of a couple of things. One, I realized that as much as I love makeup and cooking and everything, it just wasn't getting a lot of attention. And I don't know if it has to do, well, it had to do with a lot of different things. So I was kind of rethinking this. And the other thing was that I have let myself get very unhealthy. Most of you don't know me personally, but people who have known me personally for longer than 5 or 6 years know that I've kept myself pretty fit and healthy my entire adult life. I've been exercising and doing one kind of sport or another, not usually team sports, but some sort of sport since I was in my teens. And since I started, I went back to television back to broadcasting and then into television in 2010, and my schedule was flip-flopping, but I could still keep at least relatively fit. Since I decided to start working with a morning show continually, my hours are very difficult. I mean, I'll make no bones about this, and no one that works in the morning show can ever tell you that it's an easy shift. It's a very difficult shift. Just somehow I woke up, I went, it's not even woke up, like I've been very aware of how big I've let myself get. And I know a lot of you will feel like, you're not big at all. Stop being, don't fat shame. I'm not fat shaming anyone. I'm uncomfortable in my own skin. And for me, gaining like 25 pounds is a lot of weight. I have a tiny bone structure. My wristwatches are children's wristwatches. Literally, once I cut my watches to fit me, no one else can wear them except for kids, with rare exception. I've only met one other adult who has a bone structure as small as I do. And so it makes carrying weight very uncomfortable. It makes it a little easier to hide up to a certain point because I'm just naturally kind of small. So I would look okay. But it gets in my way. There are folds where there weren't folds my entire life. There are parts getting in the way of when I'm trying to even just bend over and do things. So I was really tired of this, and especially in my career, and a lot of people will be very honest and tell you this, you're much better off being too skinny than the other way around. Unfortunately, it is a fact of the industry. So I decided I needed to get fit again, and I needed to start with my diet, of course, and working out, of course. I started changing my diet, I'd say just under 2 months ago, and basically just started, cutting calories and portion sizes and stuff, which is great. But I was thinking that's going to be kind of hard to translate, because I was so arbitrary. It was kind of hard to translate into something for you guys, because I wanted to take you on my journey. And so I decided to look at these different programs that were online that were pretty close to something that I would be okay with, and comfortable and already semi-familiar with doing. But also it had to be free. I didn't want to pay for a program. I didn't want to buy special meals. I didn't want to, have to order a food to, or special dietary things or a ton of processed things. That is not the goal of Cheap Yummy Shiny. Living well on the cheap. That's the point. And so I'm sticking with that. What I looked up, and what I liked and what really got my attention, and I'll put a couple of YouTube channels below, I'll link them, that helped me make my decision. Plus the websites with all the information on how to calculate your numbers and all that stuff. I will put that all down below, plus an explanation, a much more thorough explanation than I can give you. I decided to land on flexible dieting. Flexible dieting is something that a lot of bodybuilders use. And It's exactly what it says. It's a flexible diet. And this isn't like a diet, hey, I'm going to lose 10 pounds in 1 month sort of diet. No, this is like a lifestyle change. And it is very flexible. I do not believe in cutting out food groups. I know people who are like, carbs are the enemy. Don't eat 1 apple. It will put you behind. Don't eat, 1 slice of bread. It will make you gain 15 pounds. You can only eat some raw vegetables with low sugars and protein and hyper broken down protein that only does. I'm like, no. And I don't believe in cutting out food. I think what it does is it sets a lot of people up for failure. It would set me up for failure. Being hungry and craving things all the time and going out and everyone's having a slice of pizza and you're like, no, I can't have a slice of pizza. That would ruin me. And unless you're going into competition in like 3 weeks, no, that's not reasonable. It's not reasonable at all. You have to have a life. Plus, this has to be sustainable for the rest of your life. So unless you have specific dietary issues like allergies, then no, don't cut things out of your diet. That's just the way I feel, because you have to enjoy your life, and part of the enjoyment of life is food and socialization and having a glass of wine, and occasionally maybe having too many glasses of wine or having 3 slices of pizza, and yeah, you ruined your diet for that day, but it does not ruin you for the rest of the week or the month or your life. Come on. So flexible dieting, this is how it works. It's fairly easy. I'm going to just give you a summation. You look up your daily energy expenditure. And this is used, using your weight, taking measurements. If you have access to something that accurately measures your fat, like a lot of physicians and some diet centers will have them, great. Most of the time you don't. And again, I will put these links below. I'll give you a couple of them. You can, see what works for you. And you look up your BMI and all that fun stuff. And you figure out what your resting metabolic caloric burning, just to make it really simple, every day is. Then from there, you take a certain percentage of that, and that's what you take for your calories. And then from there, you have to figure out your percentage. You do a percentage of those calories in protein and fat and carbohydrates. And it goes, the level goes protein, then carbohydrates, then fats. Fats being the lowest and proteins being the highest. Carbs and proteins are pretty similar in grams that you get a day. So it is a very satisfying diet. It really is. And it is sustainable for the rest of your life. It is not unreasonable. And yeah, I keep track of it, but I won't have to keep track of it for the rest of my life. I will kind of know where I'm at. And if I ever feel like I'm getting a little in control, I can always, start measuring, start paying attention numerically to what I'm doing again. So right now, until I get to my goal weight, I'm paying attention to what I'm doing numerically. And I do have a couple of days that I've been like, I'm not even going to bother recording what I did today because there's no use. I mean, I know that I'm completely over and it's not going to do me any good. I know I'm completely over. Like last night, for instance, I actually, I had curry chips, and anyone who lives in the UK, Ireland, whatever, you know what curry chips are. They're basically French fries with curry sauce. They were amazing. I haven't had like French fries in a while because, again, it's just not worth it to me. As much as I love them, it's just not worth it to me to be, kind of hungry the rest of the day. But I had a couple of craft beers on top of that, so you could just imagine. I was like, so I started with the original portion and calorie control. I'll say 2 months ago, but it probably wasn't 2 months ago. I'll say it was 6-7 weeks ago. I did it for about a week and a half, a little under 2 weeks before I chose to go with flexible dieting. And the reason that I didn't start this earlier and talk about this earlier is because I wanted to see how it worked for me before I could say, hey, follow me, and if you want to join me doing it. But I have been doing flexible dieting now for almost a month and a half. And I have been working out, but I'll be really honest, I haven't been great about exercising because it's been very hot and I tend to get very sluggish when it's hot and I lose a lot of motivation. I have been going biking, I've been running a couple of times, but the actual workout that I was doing that was actually really making a difference as well as far as like body shape and the way that my muscles, again, like tone, I have not been keeping up with that. The one that I decided to use just again, so I can make it easy for you guys and you could see me following plans, was the Kayla, is it It Scenes or It Signs? I believe she's Australian and she does the bikini body workout. I will link that below as well. I was doing that pretty well regularly for a while and it's good. It's a really good all-around good workout. And of course I don't stick just to that. I go biking, I go running, I'll decide to do different workouts, I'll decide whatever. And I'll link that below as well. And I really liked it, and I'm starting it again. It's cooling down a little bit, but again, it's really hot in my apartment. And when it's almost 100 degrees in the other room, it's really hard to get the motivation. I just sit in front of the air conditioner, like, ugh, just trying not to sweat. 30 and on. I've weighed anywhere from 125 to 135 pounds, depending on just how muscular I was. The more muscular I was, of course, I was on the higher end of the scale. So when I was doing taekwondo and kickboxing, especially with the kickboxing, it really builds up your muscles. So I was very slender, but I was over 130. I didn't look 130. I'm very dense. I'm very muscular anyway. So 135, and I was like a size 3, you know. So I was just really, really fit and ate a lot. Don't get me wrong, ate a lot and had more than my share of wine and stuff because I was working as a bar manager and bartender. So I want to say, 2 months ago, what really just shocked me because I weighed myself out. Now I own a scale, but I didn't own a scale. It keeps me honest. I had to come to terms with it because I knew I was getting fat. But when I stepped on the scale at my friend's house and it was 157, 58, my eyes bugged out. I almost started crying right there. I didn't, but I almost did. And it was a very sobering, eye-opening thing. 2 months later, I am at 147. So I've lost 10 pounds, not really working out very much. So once I really start working out, it should start dropping a lot more. Not as quickly as you would think, because again, I gain muscle so quickly, but my measurements will start changing. And I might have my measurements, and on the next thing, I'll tell you my measurements that I got at the start of flexible dieting. This one's already very long, but I wanted to invite you on this, and I think it works. And the reason that I wanted to do it again without not starting with you guys, but starting it privately, was because I wanted to see how it worked, and it has worked well. And I've rarely been hungry, and the only things that I've really had to invest in was, well, I needed a scale. So I bought a scale. And protein powder, and good protein powder, doing some research, making sure the carbs are low, although now that I've adjusted my numbers a little bit, I don't have to worry as much about the carbs being completely zero, because I have a 0 carb one, but I don't like the flavor as much, so I'll probably go back to the one that I was using before. And again, next week when I bring you up to speed, I will let you know. I really hope that you join me on this, and if you try it, or you've tried this, or you're interested, or you have questions, I'm not an expert, I'm just doing it on my own as an amateur, and sharing it with you so you can see how it works for me and how I go through this. Then please leave comments. I'd love to hear from you. Of course, subscribe. You can follow me on Instagram, Twitter, Facebook, WordPress. I'll do stuff on WordPress as well, and so I can sort of blog about my thoughts and how I feel during the week as well. And I think it'll be very interactive. And again, any comments, I would love to hear from you guys. But I'll tell you what, being able to put on a dress, it was a little too tight, but putting on a dress that I hadn't been able to put on in almost a year, well, not almost a year, yeah, like 8 months, was amazing. You know, that's always such a good feeling. So I hope that you join me. And of course, my goal is to wear the jeans I was wearing just 3 years ago. Come on, 3 years. That's all I'm asking. All right, guys, thank you so much. I know this was really long, and I am sorry. I apologize. I hope that you understand, and I hope that you made it all the way through. You might not have. It was very long and very tedious. Sorry. The next ones will not be. Just intros are always really long. Anyway, thank you so much. I love you guys for following me and for watching and for just dealing with my general kookiness. All right, thank you guys. I'm really sweating, so I'm going to turn on the air conditioner again because it's really hot in here. It's probably almost 90, so I'm starting to sweat. All right, thanks guys.